different than a Star Wars action figure. We're looking at something from the Gundam Universe series, specifically the ZGMF-X10A Freedom Gundam from the anime Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. I'm a huge Gundam fan myself, and I'm really excited to look at this figure. So this is from the Gundam Universe series, as you can see by the title on the box. You can see that this is the 17th figure in the series, and there is the Bandai logo along with the Bandai Tamashii Nations logo and the Tamashii Nations seal of quality. And when we flip this over, oh, before I do, let's point out this art. It's some pretty real detailed artwork of a Freedom Gundam. It looks like it's battle scarred here, but on the actual Freedom Gundam it doesn't seem to have all of that. But you gotta make it look pretty. So flipping this around, we can see more action poses of the Freedom Gundam, and there's a little bit of a blurb about the action figure series. Beginning in, hang on, let me position that, there we go. Beginning in 1979, the universe of Gundam spans over 4 decades, with many diverse tales of war in space and on Earth, fought with giant robotic weapons called mobile suits. Gundam Universe commemorates this history with 6-inch scale articulated action figures. So, right off the bat, these are not going to be very well scaled with your 1/144th scale or 1/100th scale model kits. So if you are a Gunpla collector like me, you're not going to have the best time putting these next to your other model kits. But we're going to do a size comparison once we open this up and see how well it fits. Continuing to look at the box, we can see there's the action figure number again, the model again. Here's a little blurb about the Gundam itself. If you want to pause the video and read that yourself, you can. We also have the other figures in the line. We have the Gundam Heavy Arms from Gundam Wing and the Gundam Exia from Gundam 00. You also have a little QR code that lets you know about the Gundam Info site. Gundam Info also has a YouTube channel, and if you would like to check them out, I suggest going on ahead and doing so. They have anime and action figure and model kit news. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and open this up and see what's inside. Here it is, out of the box, and with everything that it comes with. As you can see, the wings of the Freedom Gundam are detached and separated, and this is the little piece that connects the two together. So, we will get to that in a second. Also packaged with the Freedom Gundam is an instructions pamphlet. This tells us how to assemble everything, so even though it's not a Gundam model kit, it still does have instructions. So it's that little touch of Bandai, I guess. You also have a pamphlet which advertises a Gundam Wing comic, as well as Gundam Breaker Mobile. That is a really fun game to play. If you're not already playing it, I suggest you give it a try, especially if you love Gundam or building model kits. And you have, on the inside, a lot of other Gundam Universe figures. Let's move those. You have all the other Gundam Universe figures in the current lines. You have Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the current one, 6. I actually do have the Easy 8 from Wave 3, and I was looking to find the Tallgeese, but I do not have that. So if I ever get a hold of that, I'll do a review of that one as well. There's more of these figures coming out soon. They've already announced 2 more waves. One of them is going to have the Master Gundam. That one's going to be interesting. Then one of them is going to have the Leo from Wing Gundam. So if I can get a hold of those, I will also do reviews of those as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into the figure itself. Before we get into the accessories, I do want to point out it has 2 sets of hands. So they're the attached hands, which, let's zoom in a little bit. The attached hands already are closed fists. So every figure kind of comes with these closed fists, and then these 2 hands. So the right hand is usually like a trigger finger hand, and then the left hand is just kind of a holding hand. And the downside, one of the downsides of these figures is that literally every figure comes with those. So it's not varied at all. Unlike, you know, in a Gunpla or even like older action figures where they do have varied hands. So if that's a downside for you, then I would suggest not getting this, but whatever. Let's look at articulation. So obviously we have the hand articulation. Let's back this back up a little bit. You've got some head articulation. It seems like there's only like one bit of articulation. I think it's a ball joint. You have shoulder articulation, and the shoulder arm. The shoulder armor has a ball joint of its own, so it can move independently. Then you've got some other articulation here. You've got a little swivel here. You've got two joints at the elbow, and it can get pretty good range of movement. And then I've already talked about the hands. It's the same on this side. You don't really have an ab crunch here, but it can definitely move back, so that's something interesting. It can move side to side, like the waist can move, but it's very tight, so I'm not gonna take the risk of, like, you know, breaking this. I just got this, so the front skirt armor can move independently. You've got these rail guns on the side that can move like so. Nothing going on for the butt flap, though. It's made of a flexible rubbery-like material. As you can see back here, these are the pegs where we'll attach the backpack adapter. And as for the leg, whoopsie. As for the leg movement, we've got a ball joint connecting it to the waist, so there's some movement there. We've got really tight thigh swivel, like it's super tight, it won't move. You've got the rail gun is blocking it a little bit. Let's see if we can move that to the side. You've got almost a full 90-degree angle bend. It's hindered just a little bit, but there are 2 points of articulation in the knee. Then you go down to the foot, and it's got 2 bits of articulation. So the foot can do a little chicken movement here, but the head itself cannot. So we're going to set that down, and then we're going to look at the accessories. We're going to save the wings for last, because that's going to be like the biggest thing, obviously, of this figure. So it comes with the beam rifle, which honestly, it's not that bad. I was hoping this little hand guard part, I don't know what you call it, I'm not a huge firearm person, but I was hoping that this part right here would, you know, move a little bit. It is fixed, and when I opened this, I tried to move it, and it made like a click noise, so I'm not gonna try it anymore. You also have the Lacerta beam sabers that attach onto the rail guns. I will do that in a second. And like in Gundam Seed, they can connect to each other and have like a Darth Maul double lightsaber effect. And speaking of the sabers, you also have the beam saber effects themselves, which tightly plug into the saber hilts. Oh, I did not like that sound. As you can see, I'm really struggling to put this in there. These are super tight. Okay, I'm not gonna try to push it in anymore, but there you go. Here's the beam sabers. The beam sabers, unlike most Gunpla, are not translucent. They are fully opaque, and they're just kind of painted pink. But it's for a $20-something action figure, that's not that bad. Ooh. Let me see. Can you put this in the? You can. you can put the beam effect into the beam rifle, and it could be like a shooting effect. So that's another plus. You also have a base adapter in case you want to put your figure onto, you know, an action base for gunpla or for whatever. And last but certainly not least, we have the base adapter and the wings. So let's go ahead and attach everything and get the full Gundam Seed Freedom Gundam look. And here's the Freedom. Wow, I have to say this looks really good. The beam rifle looks massive, but that might just be because the figure is a lot bigger and I'm used to that 1/44th scale stuff. So right off the bat, I didn't, well, not right off the bat, evidently, but I didn't realize this until putting everything together. It doesn't come with the shield. Like, it's not even on the box anywhere. Like, as you can see, there's nothing with the shield on it. Like, even flipping it around on the front, there is no shield present. So obviously when we talk about the model kit, eventually, whenever we get to that, I will do a little comparison between these two. But like I was saying, for a $20-something action figure, this is not that bad. So the wings, like I was saying, are like the biggest part of this thing. So they can move like as they should be able to. You can do the high mat mode, which is like the aerial dogfight kind of mode where the wings extend. These, I don't know what it is with these action figures, but like whenever you try to move certain parts of the, it's happening. This is exactly what I was saying. Whenever you try to move certain parts of it, it's either stiff or it's like very viable to come apart. So, see, I just knocked the beam saber out. Okay, after struggling to get those wings out, here it is in high mat mode. So as you can see, the wings are definitely huge. They're like almost the size of my hand. That is really cool. We can also flip these around and bust out the cannons in the wings. Like so. I would do it with the other side, but I mean, it's the same thing. They're practically symmetrical. So that's really all for the figure itself. So to continue onward with the review, let's go ahead and do a size comparison. Let me stand this up straight. So for the size comparison, here we have the 1/144th scale Infinite Justice from Gundam Seed Destiny, and on the other side we have the 1/100th scale Destiny Gundam. As you can see, there's definitely a difference between these three. This right here is like right in the middle of 1/100th scale and 1/144th scale. I think this would fit a lot more with a 1/100th scale, even though it's a little smaller, because moving just this aside for a little bit, if you take a look at the wingspan of this figure, it is almost comparable to the wingspan of the Destiny here. And it almost looks like they belong like right next to each other on a shelf. So if you collect a lot of master grades and you're planning to collect some of these figures, these would go like right next to each other. Like not perfectly, but it's well enough to where that they match, they fit up. There's something I was gonna say. Oh goodness. Right. So another thing that I want to point out with these figures is that sometimes they have a tendency to, let me see if I can get it to happen. They can have parts pop off, just like that. So posability can sometimes be hindered by that as well. So sometimes parts will pop off, sometimes parts will break. The instructions thing from earlier actually said that this is really delicate and that this can like snap. So that's a thing. But other than those small, there you go. There you flip and go. See right there. I think if this was like, I think if the pegs were a little sturdier, that wouldn't happen as much. So these definitely probably aren't meant for like long playing with. If you're like trying to get these for a younger kid who likes Gundam, I would look for something like the Mobile Suit in Action figures or like the Gundam G-Frame line. But no, these are definitely like a collector's item. Like these are meant to go on your shelf, especially with the way that they look compared to a master grade or a high grade. It seems like something that a collector should be carrying, like Gundam's version of the Hasbro Marvel Legends figures or the Black Series Star Wars figures. That's what I would equate this to. And before I end the video, I nearly forgot to show this off. Here's the full burst mode featuring the cannons on the backpack, the beam rifle, and the extendable railguns. This is what I nearly forgot to show off. The railguns have articulation at the back, at the connector to the waist, and then this part right here. And then they fold up to recreate what I showed you earlier. And they can extend to create this. And here it is in full burst mode. So with that out of the way, this is going to be the end of the review. I had really fun with this figure, you know, when it wasn't falling apart in my hands. Honestly, I do recommend this, maybe not this figure exactly, but this action figure line. It is a really good series of action figures. I'm gonna look at some other Gundam Universe figures in the future, some Gundam model kits, and some more Gundam figures themselves. So, with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, comment what you want to see in the next video, and I hope to see you then. And before I end the video, I nearly forgot to show this off. Here's the full burst mode featuring the cannons on the backpack, the beam rifle, and the extendable railguns. This is what I nearly forgot to show off. The railguns have articulation at the back, at the connector to the waist, and then this part right here. And then they fold up to recreate what I showed you earlier. And they can extend to create this. And here it is in full burst mode. So with that out of the way, this is going to be the end of the review. I had really fun with this figure, you know, when it wasn't falling apart in my hands. Honestly, I do recommend this, maybe not this figure exactly, but this action figure line. It is a really good series of action figures. I'm gonna look at some other Gundam Universe figures in the future, some Gundam model kits, and some more Gundam figures themselves. So, with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, comment what you want to see in the next video, and I hope to see you then.